When you are an entomologist and you're looking for creatures as tiny as spiders, nothing must escape your gaze. Every clue counts, even if it is as thin as a thread. A seemingly insignificant lead can take you straight to a masterpiece. Here we are. Look at this little wonder. A social spider's nest. Spiders are undiscovered artists whose webs deserve a place in the great museums of the world. No other creature on earth has raised the art of spinning silk to such perfection. They really don't deserve their bad reputation. Come on, forget all these ugly stories you've heard about spiders and follow me, because I'm taking you in their kingdom, Madagascar, the Weavers Island. When tourists think of Madagascar, most of them imagine great forests inhabited by strange-looking lemurs. But for me, the animal that deserves to be the national symbol of Madagascar isn't this adorable little furball. It's the great Nephila. The Nephila of Madagascar can spin webs nearly 5 feet in diameter. These impressive structures are created only by the female Nephilas, which can be up to 6 inches long. The males, which are 10 times smaller, seem content to just loll around on the webs of their lady friends. The female also allows on her territory an entire community of tiny freeloaders, argogyrodes, which will eventually feast on the leftovers of her prey. Nephilas will colonize any available surface on the island. You just have to look up to see them. They favor telephone cables and the roofs of houses where you can find them in large numbers. This looks like a nice spot because I need a lot of them. Nephilas are completely harmless. The Malagasy have long captured them as a remedy for whooping cough or simply to put them on their plate. As for me, rest assured, I don't plan to make brochettes with them. I'm giving them as a present to a charming Betsileo woman who, believe it or not, anxiously awaits these enchanting little animals. The Betsileo live on the high plateaus of central Madagascar. This is where Ravola lives, one of the few old women in the region whose memories still hold the secret to an age-old tradition now almost lost. A tradition she is ready to bring back to life if only someone would bring her some spider.
Quel plaisir de te revoir.
Ravola is 68 years old. She has spent her entire life in the village of Ivei. She has no fear of the spiders. She knows them too well. 30 years ago, she used to weave their silk every day. For me, this scarf of spider silk is a priceless gift. In the past, it would have taken over 500 hours to make. Spider silk was mainly used by the Betsileo to make the large burial blankets to wrap the dead. Knowing how fine this silk is, I can easily imagine the magnitude of the work involved. Spider silk has long fascinated the West. But producing this material on an industrial scale would require a colossal number of spiders, which would pose many problems. In captivity, they would have to be fed individually and kept apart so they wouldn't eat each other. Ravola lets her spiders catch their own food. She simply lets them loose on her property so they can spin their webs wherever they want. Most spiders use several silk glands, each producing a different quality of thread. The thread may be dry, sticky, soft, or even elastic. The spider can also control thread thickness and mix various textures of silk. It has an incredible palette of threads, which is used with awesome efficiency. Spider silk presents exceptional properties. Remarkably elastic, it can be stretched to nearly 8 times its length. And it is stronger than steel wire of the same thickness. According to the American chemical giant DuPont de Nemours, if each of these silken threads was the diameter of a pencil, it could stop a jetliner in full flight. Spider silk is also ultralight, ultra-absorbent, and completely biodegradable. In short, it's a revolutionary material that has fired the imagination of the world's leading research labs. Silk holds no secrets for Ravola. She collects the webs by rolling them around a stick like cotton candy. Voilà. Voilà la belle. The Betsileo discovered the marvelous qualities of this silk by boiling it to use as a remedy. Once dried, the webs are pulled apart with the fingers before they are spun. The thread is wound onto a brush so it can be stretched and given an even thickness before it is dyed. This spinning technique produces a silk that is rustic, thick, and strong. To obtain a finer, glossier silk, another method must be used. I will show you how to milk a spider. It's as easy as pie. This is my milking machine. Looks nice, doesn't it? Simple, efficient, solid, streamlined, beautiful. What more could you ask for? Nephilas can be milked twice a month, and more than 200 yards of thread can be extracted from them without putting them in any danger. The spider is immobilized so it won't injure itself. Its thread, which is permanently visible at the tip of its abdomen, is then wound onto a reel. This technique guarantees the purity of the silk. It has enabled scientists to study the protein that makes up spider silk and even reproduce it artificially. Alone, however, this protein serves no useful purpose whatsoever. It's only when it comes in contact with the spider's spinnerets that the silk acquires its incredible elasticity and strength. This is a real puzzle for the researchers who have already predicted a glowing future for this magical fiber. The applications could be countless, from surgical supplies to parachutes. But research has a very long way to go before reaching that point. The spiders can therefore rest easy. They are sure to remain the sole owners of the patent for this marvelous material for many years to come. Ravola follows certain ironclad rules, not unlike the spider. First, she needs a framework to anchor the threads. A spider begins its web by spinning a bridge line, the basic element from which the entire web will be suspended. For this, it uses a thread of sticky silk, so fine it is caught by the slightest breeze and carried off to attach itself to the first obstacle it encounters. After testing the solidity of this aerial bridge, the spider reinforces it with another thicker thread. To finish the frame, the spider weaves diagonal threads. The bridge line and framework are ready. Now, phase 2 of the project can begin. For Ravola, this phase consists of mounting the warp threads on which the woof threads are woven. The spider installs warp threads too. They are radial threads that join up at the center of the web. Made of fine, dry silk, the radial threads can act as eyes and alert the animal to the slightest vibrations in its large silken trap. For any weaver, the last phase is the trickiest part of the job, forming the woof. It consists of passing the bobbin of thread between the warp threads. The spider's bobbin is its spinnerets and legs. Its warp threads take the form of a wide spiral of thick, sticky silk that will catch insects. Some spiders finish their web by adding a band of silk in a zigzag pattern, a personal touch, the purpose of which remains a total mystery. And voila! Like Ravola, in less than an hour, this artist has constructed a masterpiece of symmetry and strength, and all without a single lesson in geometry. To fully appreciate spider constructions, you need more than good eyes. You may need a small tin of flour. Here is a perfect web to test my miracle powder. All you can see is an ugly tangle of threads to which you wouldn't have paid any attention. Just watch. It's magic. Even though they are the most renowned, large geometrical webs are not the most common in nature. Most weaver spiders build structures that, at first glance, appear completely anarchic. But a little bit of flour sticking to the web's threads suddenly reveals astonishing structures. Who would have thought that the forest concealed so many architectural wonders? Spirals, platforms, tunnels, domes, hammocks. The imagination of spiders seems to know no bounds. Most of these webs don't have to be rebuilt as often as some others. Made of dry silk, they stand up well in bad weather. You might think the lack of stickiness would be a handicap for capturing insects, but these traps are just as effective as herb webs. The disorganized threads can intercept insects in full flight, and the horizontal platform will catch them before they touch ground. When you are as imaginative as spiders are, you will find all sorts of ways to use silk to catch insects. Look at a tree trunk, for example. You may see a little piece of bark on it that has a very strange name, Ursilia. A spider equipped with two large spinnerets at the end of its abdomen. Ursilia lies in wait for its prey. It will only attack when the little caterpillar comes close enough. A first bite immobilizes the insect temporarily. But the story doesn't end there. You could say the Ursilia puts a new spin on capturing prey. A few well-negotiated turns, and in seconds, the unfortunate insect finds itself literally bound and gagged without having a chance to complain. For it to be savored like a delicious soup, the spider must liquefy its prey before it dines. Not all spiders have the good fortune to have spinnerets as well developed as Ursilia. The most primitive spiders have to do without silken traps to hunt. They patrol their territory in search of food, like the Lycosa. Or they set ambushes from the depths of their nests, like tarantulas from Latin America. These predators have to rely on fast-acting venom to lay their victims low. But they are seldom dangerous to men. Nevertheless, their imposing size has given them a terrible reputation. In Madagascar, for example, there's a spider just as primitive that could easily take its place in our worst nightmares. But no one pays attention to it because it's so tiny. The spider, no bigger than a mosquito, is one of the oldest and strangest of our planet. Its name, Archaea. Like all primitive spiders, Archaea uses its two gigantic chelicerae and its lightning venom to capture its prey. It's unable to spin a web since this type of trap came along much later in the course of evolution. Archaea does, however, produce silk. Spiders have needed silk to survive since the beginning of time. In fact, without silk, there simply wouldn't be any spiders. Silk is not only used to capture insects, it serves many other purposes. For a spider, no matter how agile, the space between two leaves is a great chasm, and the smallest obstacle may seem insurmountable. But thanks to their safety cords, these 8-legged creatures can play at tightrope walking, and mountain climbing becomes child's play. Spiders also need silk to reproduce. The males, which lack reproductive organs, first have to deposit sperm on a small web. Then, using their palps, they inseminate the female with it. And finally, silk enables the spiders to make their egg sacs. The different textures and colors make silk a perfect camouflage. Its insulating properties also make it an excellent incubator. Protected by several layers of fluffy silk, the eggs can develop in a fixed humidity and temperature, awaiting the big day. A magical moment we seldom have the chance to see. The birth of thousands of tiny weavers, which in only a few weeks will master the art of silk weaving as deftly as their ancestors before them. When I was a child, I often asked myself how spiders knew how to do all the things they do. I've spent endless nights observing their magnificent silken creations, trying to understand the origin of their talent. According to the Greeks, spiders are the descendants of Arachne, a woman whose weaving was so beautiful that the gods became jealous. To get rid of her, they changed her into a strange-looking creature with 8 legs, a spider. Since that day, Arachne's children have continued to display their art for us to admire, covering the earth with their beautiful tapestries. Of course, this is only a legend. But behind a legend often lies an element of truth. So, maybe the spiders really do have something to teach us. If, instead of squashing them, we learned to observe them, wouldn't that be the road to wisdom?